Good morning, friends, and welcome once again to Eicher presents Nayi Soch, Naye Raaste, a Trans India exclusive. In the first episode of the series, we met Mukta Shah, who joined her father's business and later took the giant leap of setting up a logistics company in the US. This week, we have another lady transporter who started her career in the media space. She worked in a background that was challenging, no doubt, but at the same time had the elements of systems, protocols, etiquettes, and not to forget, glamour. She had the opportunity to work with some of the best brains in the advertising business, and that perhaps explains her attitude today. She finally decided to quit the media space and join the family business. And why not? After all, the company is named after her. We will be talking today to the Reema of Reema Transport Private Limited in Eicher presents Nayi Soch, Naye Raaste, a Trans India exclusive. Reema Jugani has been a go-getter right from the start of her career. She doesn't hesitate to approach clients for business, and this is just the attitude that is doing wonders for her in Reema Transport as well. So coming up after this very short break, walking down memory lane with Reema in her cozy little cabin at Reema Transport Private Limited. You are watching Eicher presents Nayi Soch, Naye Raaste, a Trans India exclusive.
कभी सोचा अगर किसी दिन सब कुछ रुक गया तो इन छोटी छोटी खुशियों पे लाइफ पे ब्रेक लग गया तो किसी ने तो जिम्मेदारी ली होगी कि सब स्मूथली चलता रहे। कोई ऐसा जो ऐसे स्टीयरिंग थामे हैं कि हम ना रुके। जो वक्त से आगे की सोच रखता हो, नए रास्ते बनाता हो। शुक्र है जिंदगी की ड्राइविंग सीट पे कोई तो बैठा है, क्योंकि जब हम चलेंगे तो दुनिया चलेगी। आइशर के साथ रहिए 24/7 कनेक्टेड, ताकि ना आपका बिजनेस रुके, ना लाइफ, नई सोच, नए रास्ते।
Welcome back to Eicher presents Nayi Soch, Naye Raaste, a Trans India exclusive. We are talking today to the Reema of Reema Transport and knowing more about her journey, challenges, and future plans.
So Reema, to start with, tell me how much is the pressure of being the Reema in Reema Transport?
So initially, it was not a pressure because I didn't know anything, right? So I had to learn a lot, right? But now, of course, there's a lot of pressure, a lot of responsibility, because over a period of time, you have to realize that you have to understand the business, you have to work with people. And when you start working with people, it's not that easy because they all come from a typical mindset of the way they used to work, like the old methods. To change them, to adapt to new technology, new methods, it takes time. Mm-hmm. So internally, that is a problem. Externally, of course, I had always mentioned, it's always, earlier it used to be, it was not a pressure because I used to go with my seniors for meetings.
Right.
And then eventually now when you start going for meetings, earlier the mindset where people used to think, will she really understand the dialogue what we are talking? So they never used to talk to me. They used to reach out to my seniors. You know, and at that point of time, I say, sir, please tell me. I will get back to you. Because वो inclination होता है learn करने के लिए, but वो adaptation नहीं था तभी. Now, of course, all of them call me. By God's grace, I know enough where now if they have some thing to ask, they ask me and I can answer. So I know I've upped the game of learning now.
Okay.
And so there is a lot of pressure because there's so many functions which you have to basically handle, right? It's not only one. When we talk of only road transportation, it's not only internally you have to handle. Internally, there's maintenance, there's operations, there's billing, there's accounts, and you can't master it all.
It takes a lot of time.
It takes a lot of time. So I cannot say I've mastered everything, but बोलते हैं ना master of none, jack of all. उल्टा बोल रही हूँ, purposely उल्टा बोल रही हूँ.
But it's working good for you.
It's working good for me, yeah.
So even before joining the business, tell us a little bit about your background then.
So every interview I say this, I'm not a transporter, but I'm a transporter ki ladki, and always saw my father working, which he really inspired me because it was very, कभी पहले मूवी में देखते थे चोरी हो गया कैसे पकड़ते. So I used to hear, तभी पापा का ना छोटे छोटे firms थे, एक firms थे. So I used to see him going in the evening, solving problems, solving cases. It was very interesting. But I never thought I'll get into it because, so I've done you should know, which I've never said in any interview. I've done like 2 years of interior designing. Then I did my course. Then I did my post-graduation. I kept changing, right? Then I did my post-graduation. I was recruited by college. College में recruitment company आई थी and I got recruited. Then I realized, okay, this is something which is not me. I'm a very marketing and a sales. Ki bandi, what am I doing in a financial this thing? And then I worked, of course, with renowned companies like KPMG, EY. I worked in Then I realized, okay, again now working for me. Marketing कर रही हूँ, knowledge management role कर रही हूँ, but this is not me. I like to talk, meet people. I have to be challenged, right? Give some sales targets. So a friend of mine recommended, why don't you join media sales? It'd be very interesting. So I joined media sales. I was there for almost 8 years. I worked with National Geographic. I worked with Star Movies. I worked with Bloomberg Jugani. Very interesting. Learned a lot. And when you work from companies like EY, KPMG, which is extremely professional, so there's a lot of learning there.
Right.
In sales, there's a lot of learning because you realize how you have to sell and what level. Like every time I say you should never shy away even doing a cold call. And I don't even shy away right now. I reach out to people on social media. I sometimes just call on landline and find out who's the logistic head and who's going to handle what department. And I think those learnings have really helped me in my current, work.
But Reema, at what point of time did you realize that, okay, I have to get into my family business? And was there a thought that, okay, I am the Reema of Reema Transport, so I should be a part of this? Or that was never the case?
Never the case. And I never.
So what was the calling like?
So when my last job was Bloomberg UTV in media, and I was not well, and I always thought I wanted to do something by myself, right? And Papa ko to pehle dekha tha. I said I should put my hands here to see, and it'll be challenging because I think agar aap challenge nahi hoge na, there'll be nothing to look forward for. Sales mein there's challenge. You have numbers. It's number driven, so you're always challenged. I said I have to learn. Let me try. And Dad was very saying कि तूने सब जगह पे काम कर लिया. This is our family business, and if you want to join, you join. It's not going to be an easy game. So I said, let me try. And when I started working, initially, of course, because when you're from a very professional setup, you feel the pinch. There were a lot of challenges. Like every time I keep saying, it was internal pressure. Externally, I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know what a LR was, what was a memo. I had to work with people at that level. And when you're already working with professionals, suddenly working at that level, so I had to be one of them. I could not be one of Reema Transport or Ashok Kothari's daughter. It was never that. My dad was very clear, and I think internally, I feel till the time you don't learn from bottom, you will never up the game. So you have to know your business well. So you have to work down the line with every person.
But transport has always been told to be a very unorganized sector, especially back in the days when you joined. And you coming from a very professionally driven, hardcore professional companies. How was that shift? A shocker for you?
Completely shocker, like I mentioned earlier, that it was very, very shocking because वहाँ पे Xerox भी हाथ में मिल जाता था, यहाँ पे Xerox खुद निकालना पड़ता था. Technology का ABC नहीं मालूम था. Technology, IT का laptop में सब everything used to come. Right. When you get from a professional setup, you get your own laptop. Here you have to do everything by yourself. And these are minute things, right? So it was like a complete shift. But by God's grace, we've come to a level today which is getting very professional. Everything is getting very technology driven. But because I was one of the first ones, it was it was very, very difficult, because also for people to adapt to me and me to adapt to them initially was a little challenging. But I think I just learned it over a period of time. And
So how many years in the industry now?
almost 13.
13 years.
Yeah, 13.
So tell me, this journey of 13 years, what significant changes have you seen within the industry and within Reema Transport as well?
So like I said, the first biggest significant change which I've seen is technology is coming into picture. Okay. Better vehicles, everyone getting online. Of course, COVID taught all of us a lot, right? E-payments, processes, systems in place. We are Naye Soch certified company. We also learned a lot with our clients. Okay, so when you learn from your clients, and I'm saying when you learn, when they audit you and their requirements are extensive, and when you realize, okay, it's a time where you have to get these processes in place, there's a part of learning also. So there's been like a complete shift. पहले क्या होता था, LR book हो गया, ये हो गया, online कोई tracking होता था, नहीं होता था, ऐसा नहीं. It was very okay, you know how
Very
the companies
manual
run,
it was, yeah,
very
yeah.
manual. Now everything is automated, everything is technology driven. So I think that's the biggest shift. Getting people also being hungry to learn. Okay, the kind of people earlier. So we have a combination of both still, right? There are certain people who've been with us from the company when the company was formed.
Right.
But the good part is they're happy to learn. And internally also, Girish, I should say this, I know it may not be relevant, but internally we also shift people from one team to another who are happy to shift.
Okay.
So it's a learning curve for them also, that they're not
Right.
stuck with one role for a very long time. So that was another shift which we got into the company.
Okay.
Of course, I've always spoken about Chalak se Malak. I think that was one of the biggest motivations for drivers. So after I joined in and, Dad and his partner, when they decided, so they've also grown over a period of time. And technology-wise, where earlier our dependency used to be on one, now there is a lot which is offered. And there's a lot of, because of automation coming in, the sensors and all the amount of data you have, the way you can track people, the drivers, how they're driving to, different parameters, their driving behavior, overspeeding, chalan ka, jo shift aaya hai is fantastic for transporters. We of course also have temperature sensors because
Right.
we specialize in pharma. So we have to ensure that all the parameters are within the range, right? Because we carry vaccination to insulins to medicines. So when I joined, I didn't know anything about technology. So I think that was the area which I had to concentrate. So I said, okay, at that time it was only GPS.
Correct.
तभी भी GPS बहुत expensive था, Girish. It was not. So I started meeting people. I started understanding. Then I realized, okay, we need to have temperature sensors. Then whether we need one temperature sensor, we need two. DOR sensors are needed. What all are the different parameters we need to, online track? How you can make your client's life simpler. How you can make your life simpler.
We will continue our interaction with Reema on the other side of this very short break. You are watching Eicher presents Nayi Soch, Naye Raaste, a Trans India exclusive.
एकदम टिप टॉप है। सर है क्या?
हाँ है ना ऑफिस में।
कैसा है? सर मैं कह रहा था हमारे जो 2 ट्रक है ना,
पहले जाके हाथ धो के आ।
सर मैं
हाथ धो के आ।
सर मैं कह रहा था कि हमारे दोनों ट्रक चकाचक है।
और मैं कह रहा हूँ पहले बैठ जा। बैठ जा। पहले खाना खा लेते फिर काम की बात करते।
बिजनेस तभी बढ़ेगा जब सोच बदलेगी। आयशर HD प्रो सीरीज, नया समय नई सोच।
Welcome back to Eicher presents Nayi Soch, Naye Raaste, a Trans India exclusive. We are in conversation with Reema Jugani from Reema Transport.
But tell me, do you think with so much of IT bundled in over the last decade or so, have things become simpler for you?
To a large extent, when it's coming to tracking, yes, I can say. But too much of data for a company size like us also. Right now, I don't think we really need that. Like, of course, there are people talking, oh, this information is there, this, and it's great to get that information. But our drivers are going to work in the same manner. Let's practically really talk about it. Their mindset is the same. सब आके हाँ करेंगे, but in the end they'll do what. Even if you track them, the biggest problem in the industry is retaining drivers and getting new drivers on board. So that insecurity of not having drivers is always going to be there for all transporters like us, whether we are pan-India or we are not pan-India, we are region-specific, right?
But I think Chalak Se Malak has been a very successful program.
Yeah, I think it is an amazing initiative, and I think most of the companies should adapt to it if they want to retain drivers. So we have...
Can you tell us how this model works?
So basically, we are old vehicles, which are like 6 years. You look at selling that eventually, right? So instead of selling it to an outsider, you sell it to your driver. You tell him, ये तुमको गाड़ी तुम ले लो, interest free. Okay. A part of your salary will keep getting cut.
Right.
He attaches the vehicle with us, so he's not out of business.
Right.
He will get another driver on that. So he becomes a malak of that gaadi, because he'll never become a malak.
True.
But we do this only for drivers who've been with us, whom we trust and who are loyal to us. We don't do it to a newcomer because they first have to gain that trust, right? Because it's an interest. We remove the value. We tell him, this is a value which we are getting. What is it that you're comfortable with?
Okay.
So that's how it works. And so what happens, he becomes a malak, plus he's getting an extra income. वो खुद गाड़ी भी चला रहा है और दूसरी गाड़ी भी उसकी income दे रही है. So that's an extra income which they make.
Wonderful. And I think the interest free part of it is really a huge attraction for them.
Huge, because where would they buy a vehicle? They would not. And also another thing, Girish, because it's our vehicle, the systems and the technology is already in place.
Right.
So they don't have to invest there also. Because it's attached with us, all that GPS and all that is already invested. So उनको तो कुछ करना ही नहीं है.
Absolutely.
So it brilliantly works for them. So I think a lot of people, to retain their drivers, good drivers, and attract new drivers to joining, this is a good concept to have.
So when you have been doing a lot for your drivers, as an entire ecosystem, what needs to be done so that the drivers get comfortable and you have more drivers in this space?
So honestly, recently there was an article where they're saying in 2024, 25, they're going to have all cabin ACs. I think that's an excellent initiative. Of course, for transporters like us, the cost will go high. But I think that is a need of an hour, right? Because like I've mentioned earlier, passenger cars, hum to chale jate hain, drivers, and I spoke about the whole experience of me driving a truck. If it's comfortable for them, they will be more motivated to work. Honestly, also, Girish, we do our bit. We give their training. We have them on our payroll. We give them PF, insurance, everything. But I think there's a little more which I think a government can contribute. Like I think at every few kilometers, whatever they decide, they should have subsidized rate resting place for drivers and food, sanitization. I mean, of course, during COVID, we know how the crisis works. We were not well equipped. Now with infrastructure taking, excellent highways coming up, excellent flyovers, everything going so well, I think that is something which I think it's a need of an hour. Yeah, because when they are comfortable, because abhi kya hota hai, at least for our drivers, we tell them to go to a parking lot where we have tied up with our vendors, with our petrol pump vendors, and they park there at a very secure place. You charge. I'm not saying no. And that can be borne by transporters, but there can be a subsidized rate. Good. The food has to be good. It has to be, because imagine their health. हम लोग ही बोलते हैं ना, रोज बाहर खा के हमारी तबीयत खराब हो जाती. They are constantly, when they are they're only eating out, and so dhabas and all, how of course they're excellent, but I think that is important. That's a very important, where they can rest, they can sleep. Cabin mein sona, of course we are making cabins very comfortable, but how long can you be there? And of course there is an 8-hour resting period which is also compulsory for drivers. I think this is very important. If they have a resting place where they are, अगर उनको आधे घंटे की चैन की नींद खटे पे भी मिल जाएगी ना, they'll be up and running. If there's a good bathroom where they can use a good loo, where they can freshen up, they can feel good about themselves, because that also plays a very important role. So I think that is very important. Food-wise, if they're taken care of. So every few kilometers, they can have that.
Right. So then you and Tanvi have been working together. How has been the guidance from Dilip bhai and your dad?
So they've given us a very free hand, to be honest.
That's nice.
They said so, and they also are very open to adapting to new methods. Of course, they take their time,
Right.
and I think it is good that they take their time because उनका जो तजुर्बा होता है and their experience speaks a lot, right? See, we are not 40 years old in this business. Our company is 40 years old. So the way they look at things and the way we look at things, we are the newer generation. We'll say, Acha, this is very good. And someone will say, we'll give you this. It's a bouquet of things. We'll say, okay, let's invest. But I think the way they look at it from a long-term point of view, that whether we should do this or we should not do this, the do's and don'ts are very, very clear. And I think we also understand when they say no. So
Right.
their adaptivity to accepting things is extremely good, but they're very practical. So I think that is something which helps us also to become practical to make judgments going forward.
And that blend is very good.
Very good, yeah.
So you were telling me, when you started going to your clients, again, was there a surprise element that a lady transporter is coming to us? Did you face that?
A lot. So initially, of course, I was going with Dilip bhai, and I used to just be like one secretary writing, because समझ में नहीं आता था, ऐसे लिखती रहती थी. And and then of course Dilip bhai introduced me that she's joined the business, and then later there was a point of time where I had to start doing it by myself, right? So when I used to go, so there are two kind of people. One, Reema from Reema Transport. But it does not work like that. I will say I'm not
that's not a
Reema
long-term
from
thing,
Reema.
yeah.
I say I'm not Reema from Reema Transport. I'm working there. And we have a management, we have people. So I'm as a salesperson of what other person would be coming. So please treat me like that, one. Secondly, the other side of people were like, ये क्या ऐसे ही आ रही है, इसको कुछ knowledge है कि नहीं है, because it's a very male oriented. Immediately will you be able to answer,
Right.
or will you be able to revert? And by God's grace, I went out only when I was ready. Uske pehle, and so I never shy away saying I don't know. And there are a lot of things I don't know. And you know how this industry is. Just every
Absolutely.
second day there's something to learn.
Absolutely.
Whether you talk from technology front or from payments point of view or GST or whatever,
There's so much happening,
There are
yeah.
drivers, maintenance. So मुझे नहीं मालूम है, मैं upfront बोलती थी I don't know it and I will get back to you. But I ensure that I learn that. And I ask people, it's okay to look down. You know,
But at
sometimes
least you learn something, yeah.
because when you have already learned it, then you'll not be done next time.
Absolutely.
So for me, I think it's important to, every day is like a learning curve. And I think, yeah, that is important.
You know, coming to vehicles, how much has that changed over the years?
So, you know, I've been, I was a part of the Eicher EV, the Eicher factory visit.
You drove a truck. How was that experience
Oh, it
first?
was amazing. Matlab, it was like, wow, you know.
Empowering.
Very empowering. But मुझे ऐसे लग रहा था अभी heavy commercial vehicle का एक license भी ले लूँ तो शान से चला सकती हूँ. And to be honest, you also realize what our drivers go through. Because
Yes.
till the time you don't put yourself in their shoe, you know, it's very easy ना, हम तो passenger vehicle में चले जाते हैं, all the facilities are there, they are on route all the time. So till the time you don't put of course this was a very short experience, but it was amazing.
But trucks have changed a lot.
Oh,
I mean,
it is so comfortable if a woman can drive a truck. Of course वो loaded vehicle नहीं थी, वो एक बार चला के देखेंगे तो actually मालूम पड़ेगा
The
drivers
feel
what
of
they
it,
go
yes.
through. But it was extremely interesting. And I think the trucking is completely changed. Where you're talking of nitrogen coming into picture, you're talking of EV vehicles coming into picture. See, for us, because we are very specific to pharma, because you know we have AC vehicles,
right.
EV. I don't know. I think it'll take a lot of time.
EV
But
will.
if I will look at it for my ambient business, where if I'm looking at secondary movement or I'm looking at shorter distance primary movement, then EV will play. Also, the payload has to increase. Abhi jo bhi available as of now, today, the tonnage is very less of whichever vehicles I have seen
Okay.
and I have interacted with. But I think Eicher is looking at coming with a higher payload. So we will look at EV for an ambient business. But I think there's still time in terms of infrastructure. I think that plays a very, very important role because enough charging points for nitrogen gas. It should not become like, अभी भी आप CNG लेते हो, वहाँ पे line कितना होता है?
So hydrogen is going to be a challenge again.
I
Hydrogen,
I
LNG are
hope
the
not-
two fuels that they've been talking about.
I hope not. I'm hoping that infrastructure-wise we'll be very well equipped, because you don't want your drivers again to be waiting where their
Correct.
delivery is a big challenge and where they have to reach on time, and then they give a bahana कि हम तो वहाँ पे खड़े थे इतने घंटे तक. So I'm hoping, of course, infrastructure-wise, roads-wise, I think government is doing fantastic job. Like, I don't even, you know better, right?
Right.
Policies and everything is, I think infrastructure-wise, if you're looking at going green and we're looking at EV trucks and nitrogen, LNG, I think we have to be very well equipped there.
Absolutely.
The last part of our interaction with Reema, coming up on the other side of this very short break. You are watching Eicher presents Nayi Soch, Naye Raaste, a Trans India exclusive.
In a world that doesn't stop, to lead, be always on the move. Define goals. Train hard. Build stamina. Use intelligence. Seek support. Keep going. Enjoy success. But hold non-stop. Higher power. Maximum uptime. My Eicher enabled 100% connected trucks.
Welcome back to Eicher presents Nayi Soch, Naye Raaste, a Trans India exclusive. We are in conversation with Reema from Reema Transport.
So, Reema, finally, what is the roadmap for you from here on? Where do you see yourself 5 years from now, let's
So
say?
we are not a pan-India player, right? And we cater to West and South. But we have few branches in West and South. We are not completely captured. So that is one area which we really want to concentrate going forward. That we want to capture the full of West South. After that, also increase the number of fleets. Getting into more of our eco-friendly vehicles, where you look at investing in EV vehicles. I'm hoping that there is also, for EV vehicles do so well that AC ke liye bhi it becomes like a breathing area where the payload is higher and it's completely technology driven. I hope we reach at that stage. We're hoping that. So investing more, getting more clients, showing them. So we are, like I mentioned, right, we are very compliant and we're an ISO compliant company. So we know our strengths. So I'm sure there will be a point where people will understand. I know there's a glitch where we are not pan-India, but I don't take it as a glitch because I think we are expert at what we are doing.
Right. I mean,
in
it's
your
better
area.
to work there, yes.
Yeah, so you rather capture that area completely than being everywhere. बोलते हैं ना जितना हाथ आप extend कर सकते हो उतना ही करो.
Right.
So yeah, and giving good training, getting good drivers on board, getting good skilled staff. We of course have amazing staff, but for people to adapt to technology and whatever we are doing in the space right now, going online, they also have to adapt. So yeah, that is something which we are looking at immediately.
And in the long run, you and Tanvi would be like, the two leading women transporters.
Yeah, we are very pretty sure because this base is given to us. Why should we let go of the base, right?
Absolutely.
I think it's very, very important. How many people really get that opportunity to run a business? And like now, 13 years of my experience and my time, I love it now. And when every second day, you have introduced us to so many women in this industry. I'm amazed with the number. जब मैंने join किया था, there were hardly handful of them.
Absolutely.
But right now, women are happy to join. And honestly, Girish, I feel women are they're good at multitasking. If मतलब हम घर का भी handle कर सकते हैं, job का भी handle कर सकते हैं, good, like everything is taken care of. They're not stuck.
Right.
So like it's very simple. We have groups in our phone. Okay, if there's a breakdown, okay, get in touch with, for example, your OEMs and tell them what is happening. So life has become very simple. So it's not that तुम पहले कैसे होता था, फोन करो, वो आएगा, कब आएगा, ड्राइवर स्टक है, वो सब eliminate हो गया.
So IT has really made things much
IT has
simpler.
made it much simpler, yeah.
One final word. Any advice for the women who are possibly still hesitant to join this industry? How would you encourage them?
So I honestly feel if you're up for challenge and you want to learn and you want to prove yourself, this is the best place to do it. And there's nothing which a woman can't do. I mean, I've been saying this in most of my forums. If you have the passion and you have the hunger to learn, this is the place to be. There will never be a dull day for you.
I'm sure.
There'll always be an interesting thing. There
Exciting
will be
day.
Challenges. There will be learning. There will be, excitement days where you see, wow, I've done this. So if you're really hungry and you really want to prove yourself, this is the industry to be. And do not. Also, one very, very important thing is never fear failure. You will fall a couple of times, but that failure will also teach you something.
Yes.
So I honestly believe in this because when I also joined Girish, when I was telling you, ऐसा नहीं था कि मुझे सब चीज I used to get it right.
I mean, you joined raw. Absolutely,
yeah, I was
grounds up.
मतलब though dad has been in this industry, ऐसा तो नहीं ना पापा ने मुझे सिखा दिया था. I was completely from a different. But my professional experience also helped because I was not from this industry. There were a lot of things which I could also implement.
Right.
Like एक तमीज जैसे बात करने की because transport is said as a very rash. तो पहले सब चिल्ला के बात करते थे. Now you're in my office and you know the decorum.
Right.
No one is screaming, no one is yelling. Everything is handled. We are more proactive to our clients. So clients are more at peace. That was not the
Correct.
case earlier.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So please, if you're up for challenge, please join this. And if you want to prove yourself, this is the best place.
Great. Thank you so much, Reema.
Welcome.
That was our conversation with Reema. And what an inspiring journey. She dumped a glamorous career that had all the perks to join the family business in the logistics or the road transport industry. Our next episode of Nayi Soch, Naye Raaste series next month will showcase the journey of a lady transporter who was a housewife, aspiring to be a teacher, highly qualified in that stream, but destiny brought her to the rough world of road transport. Meanwhile, we will be back again next week with our regular episode featuring yet another interesting journey. You are watching Eicher Presents Nayi Soch, Naye Raaste, a Trans India exclusive. Until next week, stay safe and drive safe. Jai Hind.